Please welcome Tan Nguyen.
The other day I was driving, and suddenly my GPS disconnected. By a show of hands, has this ever happened to anyone? That moment when the voice that's telling you where to turn goes silent, and that screen that's been showing you the map goes blank, and you feel that panic rise in your chest. Nowadays, we rely so much on GPS that the idea of going anywhere without it feels impossible. And without realizing it, we expect the same thing from life. We want to have every step mapped out, every risk managed, every outcome certain. And when we cannot see the whole path forward, we hesitate, we freeze, we stay where it feels comfortable. And because we believe that we need to have a map before we begin, so many of us never leave the driveway. I grew up in Vietnam after the war. At that time, we were poor, and everyone around us was poor. There were many days without electricity, days without running water, and days when I did not have enough food. When I turned 16, a long-lost uncle came back to Vietnam and offered to sponsor me to study in the US. It was like a dream come true. It's a map to a better future. But within a month of arriving, that map disappeared. This uncle assaulted me and kicked me out. I had no money. I didn't speak any English. I had no family, no plan, no map. I have two choices. Either go back to Vietnam or stay and walk forward without a map. I decided to stay. I found a job at a Vietnamese coffee shop. I was making very little money, but that was the only place that would hire me. I wore a headset on my ear 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that I could learn English as quickly as I could. I cried myself to sleep most nights, and I pray that somehow a path would appear. Step by step it did. I got accepted to University of California at Berkeley. And many years later, I was leading teams. And today I coach and teach leadership at Rice University. People often tell me that, Tan, you must have had a plan when you did all of this. You must have been fearless. I was frightened every step of the way. And I never had a map. The path only appears because I kept moving. Later, I came across a research by Professor Sarasvati from the University of Virginia. She studied how expert entrepreneurs make decisions. Each of the expert entrepreneurs has started multiple companies, ranging from hundreds of millions of dollars to billions of dollars. What she found was simple, yet surprising. These expert entrepreneurs did not wait to feel ready. They did not wait until they had the whole perfect plans. Instead, they started with what information they have. They took action, and then they adjust as they go. By contrast, the novice entrepreneurs hesitate. They wait until they get ready. They try to predict the future, and they only act after they have all the information. What distinguished the expert wasn't certainty. It was their willingness to act without all the information and let their action create clarity. Clarity doesn't come before action. clarity comes because of action. And the people who move forward are those willing to act without the map. The expert entrepreneurs start without the map. So how do you and I, how do we start without the map? I have 3 steps that can help us. Step 1 is to ask yourself, why? Why do you want to do this? Why does it matter to you? What happens if you don't act? And what might become possible if you do? Viktor Frankl, a neurologist, psychologist, and a Holocaust survivor, said this: "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." I didn't have a plan. I wasn't courageous. I was scared every step of the way. But I had a powerful why. If I could survive and succeed, it wouldn't just change my life. It had the potential to transform the life of my entire family. And that powerful why kept me going forward even when nothing else could. And what if you're asking yourself right now, but I don't have a big why? You don't need a big why. You just need an honest one. Ask yourself these questions. What pain am I no longer willing to live with? What small hope am I willing to move toward? And the answer to these questions will be your starting point. Step 2 is to decide to act. Don't wait for perfect timing. Don't wait for perfect clarity. The first step doesn't require certainty. It requires a decision. The moment you decide to act, momentum begins. So tell yourself today, I am doing this. And the third step is to take one small action. When people begin, what holds most of us back is often fear. But fear is not a signal to stop. It's a signal that the first step may be too big. But you don't have to take that big step. Take a small step. Small enough that you don't need confidence to do it. Just a willingness to do it. Because that first step doesn't just give you progress. It gives you information. It lets you know what works and what doesn't. And the next step will become clearer than the last. That's how the path forms. Not all at once, but one step at a time. Years ago, I took my children back to Vietnam to show them where I had grown up. One evening, we were walking down the street, we were talking, we were chatting, looking at the colorful shop windows. I was holding my son's hand. And in an instant, I fell into a manhole. 1 minute I was there, and the next I was gone. Everything went black. All I could hear was my son screaming, "Mom!" People rushed over and rescued me. I had blood all over my body. I was shaken, but alive. That moment reminded me of something important. Life is fleeting. Life is fragile. We don't have any control on how long we're going to live on this earth. But we can choose what we're going to do with the time that we are given. Life doesn't give us a map. And sometimes even when you think you know where you're going, the ground gives way without warning. So I'm asking you this question. Is there a dream that you've been holding on to? Is that something that you want to do, but you're afraid? You hesitate because you cannot see the whole path? Remember the 3 steps. One, you know your why. Courage comes. When you decide to act, momentum begins. And when you take even the smallest step forward, the path begins to unfold. You don't have to see the whole path to start. You just have to begin. Start without the map.